folks, Desert Garden Prepper here, and in today's video I am going to attempt to make some compost tea. And I'm certainly no expert at any of this. I am trying to take what I've learned by watching videos and reading and so forth, like a lot of folks, and this is my first batch. I've thrown together a contraption to brew it, and I've assembled some ingredients here that I think might work pretty good. And this is all highly experimental, so you know, don't anybody run out and try to do exactly as I'm doing here, but you know, hopefully you can learn something from what I show you here today. I certainly couldn't do what I'm doing without you know, standing on the backs of giants that have gone before me that I've learned all this stuff for. You know, there's so many great people on YouTube giving selflessly of themselves to teach people how to do things, you know, and most of us know the status of agriculture in the country right now is not looking very good. I mean, between GMO crops and just even organic produce that's available in the markets and so forth, I've gotten to the point in my own life that I'm trying to at least get started with growing as much of my own food as I can. I've got a long way to go and a lot to learn. So, you know, last year was my first garden. Coming kind of late to the party, but I mean, you know, best thing to do is get started and let's make it happen. So let's start with the first supply that I found to get me started with this project, and that is the 55-gallon food-grade drum. Was fortunate enough to find a local food manufacturer that I could get them from directly, so I wouldn't have to take my chances with something I bought off Craigslist that somebody claims to be food-grade, and I have no way of knowing what the history is on this barrels. The rest of the items that I purchased for the project were from Walmart, Home Depot, and Lowe's. I'm going to start with the items I purchased from Walmart. The Aquaculture Aquarium Air Pump 20 to 60 gallon double outlet, and then just 25 feet of standard airline tubing, and the 14-inch aquarium bubble stone. We've got 2 of those. Then also from Home Depot, we purchased the Trimico 5-gallon elastic top strainers 2-pack, the Alaska 32-ounce fish fertilizer, and the Alaska 32-ounce liquid kelp fertilizer. Then from Lowe's, we purchased the Watts 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch threaded union fitting, and the American Valve 3/4 inch male brass hose bib. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I did with the lid. And so here's the original lid from one of the other barrels. Nice sturdy plastic with ridges and so forth. What I did is took my vibrating cutting tool and cut a big old hole through the top here. Took a piece of screen that originally I tried to attach the screen to the bottom with some silicone glue. That failed pretty miserably. It just fell off as soon as it dried thoroughly. So, but it turned out to be kind of a okay mistake here, because it kind of helped to create a little bit of a border around here. And so you can see what I did then is just take some little short self-tapping sheet metal screws and you know, attach the screen to the top there. Idea being to obviously to keep some of the sand and birds and insects and so forth out of here. Then and that seems to be plenty strong. That works okay. And what I did here is just took the air stones and kind of the same thing. Cut out a piece of the plastic, leftover plastic from the lid, and just attach this to give it a little bit of weight, because I want to have this air stone sitting, securely on the bottom of the barrel once I start putting water and other ingredients. Then what we'll do is just take a brick and set that on the bottom like that to kind of weight it all down. So of course I measured out a couple of lengths of hose, drilled a hole in the side here of the barrel to run my hoses, and tried to keep that pretty snug so that it kind of friction holds the hose there a little bit. And then kind of did this similar thing here on the sides here. And I just took a scrap piece of electric cord, pulled apart an extension cord here, drilled a couple of holes on both sides to give myself some pretty sturdy places to hang the compost tea bags on. Then what I did here is drilled a hole to accommodate the union from Lowe's here, and wrapped the hose bib with a little bit of plumber's tape and screwed that all in. This is kind of an expensive way to do this. I mean, I could have saved a few dollars with doing some PVC methods that I've seen out there, and kind of making your own bulkhead union. But this is, like I say, a bit on the expensive side. These two parts right here are like over $25 with tax, and definitely the most expensive part of the project. But when I started to do this, one of my goals on this part of it anyways was to have it be simple, and this was the only like two pieces and I was done. Two parts, and they were specifically made what they're going to do. And this is kind of a nice hose bib because it's a quarter turn, so when I get ready to use it, I don't have to fiddle around with the the standard hose bib you'd see on the side of a house or whatnot, with different. This is just open and close, and when it's open, it's fully open. I mean, you got full water flow there, so that makes it real nice to use later once I go to apply this. Then I pulled out this stupid looking well house thing that was a yard decoration on this property when I first bought this property. I thought, a couple of years ago when I first took this out of my front yard and started working on building out the orchard and garden, I said, I'm just going to throw this thing to the dump. But once again, pack ratting pays off, and had this thing laying in the back 40 for the last couple of years, thinking it was a big pile of junk, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, that would work, might work out all right for maybe keeping a little bit of direct sunlight off this, and the rain and the wind a little bit. So this kind of goofy looking well house decoration is going to be used here as well. So one other little modification I did here was to take a nice big hole saw and cut a little hole in the front there, so that I could get to the hose bib easier, and short it up with a couple of pieces of wood behind here to kind of try to help make things a little more sturdy. So let's go ahead and put the barrel inside. Alright, so let's take a look at what we've put together here so far. Cheesy well house, the barrel. So if we can look up here, the air pump hanging in the basket below, feeding down through the lines. It's starting to get dark here, so we'll see if we can see this. The air stones weighted down by a brick in the bottom of the barrel. This whole thing is arranged so that later I can hook the hose up to it and reach my hand through the hole in the wood there and attach a hose and be able to access this without moving things around once it gets heavy because it's full of water. So let's mix us up a batch of ingredients and get this thing brewing. So my goal here is to come up with about 2.5 gallons of dry mix for my tea bags. There's going to be some liquid ingredients as well. So what I've done here is I'm starting with this 23 pound, you know, these buckets that I've been getting from the grocery store. So this is a food grade bucket also. For some odd reason in all these buckets they measure things in pounds instead of gallons, and so this is 23 pound bucket here, which is the closest I could find to about 2.5 gallons. So you can Google the weight of a liquid gallon of water and find that it is 8.35 pounds approximately. So little math shows me that 23 pounds is, you know, a little over, well, 2.5 gallons would come out to about 20 pounds, and about 20.78 pounds. Anyways, we'll fill this up. We'll be a little over. So I have a local company that makes something called Earth Magic. It's right here in the desert southwest where I am. I believe that it's mainly worm castings with some other magical ingredients. So we've got Earth Magic. And you know, this recipe is just, we're going to start with, since I want to end up with 2.5 gallons, we're going to start with the smaller measurements here. The smaller ingredients. And for this first batch, I'm just going to do a couple of cups of Earth Magic. Granulated azomite. I think in this situation I'd probably kind of wish I had some powdered azomite, but you know, it's kind of dangerous to work with. You don't want to be breathing it. So I did a little test last week to just throw some of this granulated azomite into some water, see if it really fully disintegrated. It left some mud in the bottom, so we'll throw it as a dry mix inside. I'm going to do the same thing here. I think we'll do 2 cups of azomite. That's not much for, doesn't sound like much to me for 55 gallons, so let's make it 3 cups of azomite. Okay. And let's head off to the compost pile to get the rest of the ingredients to give ourselves the volume that we want. Now let's give ourselves a couple of shovelfuls of some well-aged, very, very nice, well-aged horse manure. And we'll fill that up about halfway. And then we'll fill it up the rest of the way with some of my absolutely premium homemade rich compost. Now let's dig down a little bit further. And throw a little of that in to fill up the bucket pretty full here. And so I'm going to dump these ingredients we've assembled into the wheelbarrow just to do a quick little mix it up before we put it in the bags. And we're going to fill up our 5-gallon paint strainer bags here. I'm going to try to keep the outsides of the bags as clean as possible. Okay, last step is we're going to make some tea bags out of this. Just going to use some cotton twine to tie these together. Looks like I should have paid better attention to Yankee preppers knot tying videos, huh? Shameful. Alright, let's get these hanging up and fill up with water. Add our liquid ingredients. Okay, ready to add some water here and fill this bucket up pretty close to the top. And once we get a few inches of water in there, we can go ahead and add in our other wet ingredients. So what I'm going to do is once again go with the 2 cups. About a half a bottle. Alaska fish fertilizer now. Ooh, it's thick. And it doesn't smell good. Yummy. Well, compost tea isn't supposed to smell bad, so I don't see how it can smell any better than this fish fertilizer. And this is one other item I forgot to mention, came from Walmart. Brer Rabbit molasses. And so we're going to put just about a half a bottle of that in. So my plans are to let this brew for a couple of days here on half a bottle, and then come in a couple of days and add the rest of this in, because evidently the bacteria and enzymes will be feeding on the molasses to create and grow more bacteria. Let's turn on the air pump. Alright, we got a nice little flow of bubbles coming. That looks great. I think that'll work. Well, we'll see you in a couple of days here.